In this episode, we will learn about routing in NextJS 13. Specifically, we will cover file-based routing, dynamic routes, link component, next navigation model, and catch-all route. So let's get started. So if you want to create a home page in NextJS application, you will have to create page.tsx under app directory. So you can see here that we have a app directory and there is a page.tsx file that we have created. Since this page.tsx file is directly under this app directory, then it will act as a home page. That's it. The home page is ready. The other example, let us say you want to create the route which looks like this one slash about. So let us see how to do this in Next.js. So what you need to do is that in Next.js 13, you need to create this about directory, okay, under this app directory. And in that about directory, you have to create page.tsx. So page.tsx is a special file in Next.js 13 with the help of which we can create the pages. So to create the page or any route, all you have to do is that just check the route path, okay, and accordingly create the folder. So here we have the path as slash about. So I created the folder about and then in that page.tsx. Now let us look at the dynamic routes in Next.js. Let us imagine that we have to-dos list and we want to show the to-dos based upon the ID of that to-do. So here you can see that the URL structure will look like this. Say to do slash one. So it is gonna show the first to do item. If I do to do slash two, it is gonna show me the second to do item, so on and so forth. So basically, if you have 10 to do items, we will have to create 10 different routes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until 10. But that's not the good approach. Instead of that, what we can do is we can use the dynamic routes. With the dynamic route, what happens is that whatever is changing, say in this particular URL structure, only the last part is changing, that is the ID of to do. So what we can do is we can replace that with this special notation in the square bracket, and then basically you have to create just one folder with this particular syntax. And what will happen is that when the user goes to that slash one, slash two, slash three, those kinds of URLs or paths, it is basically gonna route it to the this particular page. So let us create this one. Then let us create a functional component using this syntax RAFCE. Let us start the server now, npm run dev, and the server is started on port number 3001 because the port 3000 is already occupied, so it is using port number 3001. So let us go to this particular route to do slash one, and you can see it is printing this is a to do's ID page. So if I go to this URL slash 2, it will again show the same page. So even if I go to this particular URL slash 2, it is still showing the same message. So instead of ID, let us print that parameter that we are passing. So here this ID is basically coming from this particular name, okay? Whatever is the square bracket, you have to give that parameter name over there. And now what will happen is that based upon that parameter that we're passing in the dynamic route, this particular JSX will be changing. So if I pass 2, let us see what happens. So you can see it is already printing 2. If I pass here 44, it is gonna print 44. And based upon this parameter ID, what we can do is then we can go to the database and then fetch the data specific to that to-do item or to-do ID and then display that information. So that is how this dynamic routes work in Next.js. In traditional applications, if you want to navigate between pages, we can use the anchor tag with href attribute. Href attribute tells us which URL will be loaded. But in Next.js, we use a special component, it's called as next, and it comes from the next slash link module. So here you can see that I have used this link component as well as traditional anchor tag. So let us find out what is the difference between these two. So you can see that these first two links are created using the link component, and these two links have been created using traditional anchor tag. So if I click on this say to do, you can see that the page is loading over here. But if I click on this one, because this is a link component from Next.js, you can see that loading is not happening. And the reason being the navigation is happening client side. Okay. So if I click on these links, you will see that the navigation is happening, but the loading is not happening. Basically, the request is not being sent to the server. But if I click over here, you will notice that the loading is happening. If I click on the home page, loading is happening. So basically, the request is being sent to the server. Server is sending the response and then displaying the page. The main benefit of using this link component is that we can do the navigation client side, and it is very faster as compared to the traditional anchor tag. We can use link component in Next.js for the navigation purposes. But there is another way to do the navigation programmatically, and that is by using the use router function from next/navigation module. So you can see here that I have got this next/navigation module, and I'm using use router. So we are just call this user router function here, and then I have created one button load to do slash, and on click of this button, what is going to happen is that I'm going to navigate to the to do slash one. So there is one method called as push on this router object, which allows you to do the client navigation. And remember that you have to use this use client directive at the top. I will explain this use client later on in the subsequent videos, but right now remember that we have to use this router in the client components only. Apart from use router, there are several other methods that are available in next/navigation module, but we will see them later on in subsequent videos. Now let us see what is the catch-all route in Next.js. With catch-all route, what happens is that you can match multiple dynamic route segments. For example, if someone accesses this page slash to-dos, it will match it. If it is slash to-dos slash one, it will still match it. If it is slash to-dos slash one slash author, it will still match it. So it doesn't matter like how many dynamic route segments are there, it will still match. And to create such catch-all route, what you can do is that you can create a folder inside these square brackets, and just before the folder name you have to put three dots like this. So let us create this catch-all route over here in the app directory. So we just added a catch-all route over here, and inside this particular page what we are doing is that we are accessing all the dynamic route segments using this params dot catch-all todos property. So this particular property actually coming from this name, and then I'm just converting it to string and then printing on the page. Now you can go to any path and still it will match this particular route. So if I go to abc/xyz, you can see it is printing abc/xyz. So if I go to this one, it is still matching. So it doesn't matter how many route segments are there, you can pass it dynamically like that. So inside the code, depending upon what parameters we have passed or what is the length of parameters, you can take different actions or render different components. That's it. That's how these catch-all routes work in the Next.js.